Welcome to the Extra Pass podcast presented by Chemist Warehouse. I'm Adam Ballinger, and with Brad Newley off globetrotting in the States, I'm joined today by my old buddy, my old pal, Ben Hopkins. Do people call you Hoppo?
People call my brother Hoppo more.
Hoppy.
Oh, some people, no, they call him Hoppy, and then it's basically just my best friend that calls me Hoppo because his name is also Ben.
Ben, I'll just call you Ben.
Yeah, I was not a big nickname guy when I was a kid.
Benny Hop. Benny Hop that's more of you say that as an American nickname for you. Benny Hop.
Not being American, I wouldn't know.
I would say that is a cool American nickname.
Benny Hop.
Benny Hopkins, Benny Hop, who is, speaking of hops, you're on a journey right now to try and dunk again.
Sort of. I mean,
Yeah.
I would like to be able to dunk again, but I've dunked once in my life, and that was probably when I was working out a lot.
Yeah.
And my body has sort of fallen apart since then.
Yeah, it's harder as you get older, but it's never too late to dream. Benny Hop.
No, if I got there, if I could dunk again by 30, I'd be pretty up and about.
30?
Yeah.
Yeah, most 30 years on dunking, so that'd be impressive because you don't play much basketball. You play a little bit.
Well, I play usually once a week.
Yeah, that's not much for dunking wise. It's really hard.
I used to
do
play twice a week, but that was taking a toll on my body.
that. And you got to work too. You got to. Someone's got to pay
this
the
is
rent.
this is my full time job. Maybe if I got paid full time to play basketball, maybe then.
Yeah, I'd hope so then. All right. So as a team, let's get back on track here, Ben. It can't just all be about you and your
I can ask questions about you.
yeah, well, each other, but we got to get back to the game. We give
okay.
people what they want. Okay, so we've had a busy last 2 weeks.
2 wins,
Really
close
good
one
wins.
against the Kings, smashed the Breakers,
Yeah,
lost to the Bullets.
lost to the Bulls. Let's first go back to the Breakers game.
Yeah.
That was an impressive win on the road. A lot of injuries, and what I really liked to see was the young guys coming in early. Like Dino put them in super early. I don't know if he said anything before the game, but I imagine he would have said, "Look, you're getting in. You're going to have a big role in this game. We're going to see how you play." And it was cool to see people just step in and look like they belonged right away.
Yeah, I think Dean does that a lot, which really instills confidence just from what I've seen. Guys like a Ketch who really, this is his first year actually getting minutes on an NBL team, and he came in when it was asked of him and did his role well, rolled hard to the rim, played good defense. I thought he moved his feet super well. And then we saw it in the Bullets game as well. I think Campbell Blogg, one of our development players, was the first guard in off the bench, which is, that's got to help him stay ready and make him feel, in all the work that he's doing off the court, all the work that he's doing in the lead up to games. There are a lot of games where he's not going to get in, but he's got to stay ready because he has to know that, well, Dean's the sort of guy, that sort of coach that can just throw anyone in at any time, and I got to be ready. And he came in and in both games just came in, splashed a three.
Yeah, I think knowing you have the coaches and the players' confidence going into the game, and knowing you're going in and you're going to be counted on. It makes a big difference going in instead of, getting a surprise first quarter when you're not ready. Probably makes a big difference. Okay, the game we just were at yesterday.
Yeah.
From what I saw, and I'm no expert, but Brisbane shot the lights out. It just looked like they were on. Not that we played bad, but sometimes, a team, if they're going to shoot that way, they're going to win most games.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a look. I do an article every week called Stat Wrap, and it sort of looks at things. And as I was going through the stats every week, just seeing their three imports went 11 for 17 from three. You got Tyrell Harrison. He had 25 himself. It was just... It didn't seem like we were playing bad defense. It just seemed like they were just making everything. They were making tough shots, contested shots. They shot like 65% from the field, I think. And when a team does that, obviously, you don't want to just tip your hat and say, well done, you guys. But we still put up 114, and usually that's enough to get a win, but not this time.
Yeah, I thought we played well enough to win. There was a couple things when you can look back and say we would have made that play or that basket would have went in. Maybe it would have been different. But they had, it was 4 players score 25 or more. First time in Brisbane Bullets history. I wouldn't say there'd be something like that does not have. That's not much room for anyone else to score. But for having your 4 best players on and shooting that well, you're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, and I know every player talks about, every game's the same. You don't take any extra. You don't really need any extras to get up for games. As someone who didn't play professionally, I can't really speak to that. But for them, I don't think they had beaten United in 12 times.
Yeah,
like the
12,
last win was back in the NBL Cup 2021.
Yeah.
They've got Justin Schuler is their coach, who used to be an assistant here, and he more than anything, I'm sure, wants to get a win over Dino and wants to get a win here.
Yeah.
So they were obviously coming into that game motivated, and they played really well. And they're a team looking to climb into the 6. Had a sort of a rough start to the year, and now putting together some good games. They also beat the Breakers on the weekend, so they go 2-0, and I think they jump to 7th or 8th. They're sort of knocking on the door of the 6. So it was a great performance by them, and obviously one of ours that not the strongest. I mean, one guy that was like IC coming back in, he was great after not playing.
Always ready, IC.
Yeah, after not playing in
consummate professional
in New Zealand, he was great. He was just getting his shot off, getting to where he needed to go. So it was good to see him come back in firing.
Yeah, good to see Schuler get a win. Not that we want. Anyone to come in here and win.
I love Schuler. He's a great guy. But, I want every other game he plays. I'd be happy if he won.
Exactly.
Every game he plays against us, I want him to lose.
Yeah. So we talked about IC a little bit. Let's talk about CG pre-injury and just kind of, absolutely on fire. And there's been, I think he is like, who's the guy that ran the mile in under 4 minutes? Roger Bannister?
I do not know.
The 4-minute mile was deemed to be, by doctors, they said it was impossible. No one could run a 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister, I think it was him, did it.
It'd be bad if it wasn't Roger Bannister.
Did it. He broke the 4-minute mile, and then after he did it, a bunch of people started doing it. Just once it had been done. So CG had his 46. 46 in a scoring explosion.
Yeah.
And then it seems like after that, some other guys have thought, well, if he can get 46, he's 36 years old. I'm younger and I can score. Maybe it's something I can do too. Possibly it hasn't happened just like that, but it seems like he kind of opened that door and now everybody's scoring big numbers.
Yeah, it's been a really sort of crazy scoring explosion. You have obviously Bateman getting 51, and then Bryce's recent tear is pretty insane.
Unbelievable. 150 points in 3 games or something like that. It's close.
A touch less, but insane. I was looking at it again today, just going through the stats, and Bryce is averaging 26 a night, and that's the most points in the modern 40-minute era, even though I know people are getting grumpy on Twitter when you mention the modern 40-minute era. And
there's a pre-40-minute era.
Yeah, of course.
Too.
But there have been some awesome scoring explosions this year, and I think that's, one thing we as a team, even before I was part of this organization, I always saw United and I was like, man, these guys just locked down on D. And that's probably something I know Dino's wanting to get back into a bit more. We've had a few opponents put up big numbers against us, but it hasn't mattered because we've been scoring nearly 100 or over 100 every game. So we've been sort of able to just outgun teams, but I'm sure Dino and the coaches would probably like to get into these next few games and lock the teams down.
Yeah, certainly our team defense is really one thing maybe the thing we really pride ourselves on. But without CG in there with always lurking, if he has a 3...
Just so dangerous.
A couple 3 or, a few explosion in one quarter, he could have put that last night's game away. So we do miss him. But we're still playing really well without him. Let's talk about Jack. Recent play, what do you think?
He's come back in and it's just double-double after double-double. He's super consistent. He's been shooting the ball really well. It's near 40% from 3 and leading the league in double-doubles. He's had, I think, 7 double-doubles in his past 9 games. As a guy who, was really playing that position, what are your thoughts when you see a guy who comes in and is able to impact that game on both ends, where it's attacking the rim, getting on the glass, but also being able to stretch the floor? There's been a few games, especially in the Kings game, to start round 10, it came down the stretch. Delhi finds Jack in the corner, just hits a big shot because he's able to stretch that floor.
I thought that was the second Kings game in a row where he put the game away with his 3-point shooting in the corners. Yeah, impressive. But the thing I love about Jack is probably what everybody loves about him is his intensity. He's a team basketball player. You know, he's not out there for himself trying to get a bunch of baskets or anything like that. But the way he rebounds is impressive. I mean, incredibly impressive. Because
would you say it's Ballinger-esque?
I would say he's better. He was a better rebounder than me.
Wow.
If you can imagine so especially offensively, like he's always going to the hoop, and you can tell it's something he takes really, really seriously. And the area he's able to get the ball in is just bigger than most other guys because of his effort and because of his athletic ability. So you combine that with the fact that he's always going at it and he's working his butt off is impressive, and that's why he's getting all those rebounds. But it's cool to see someone out there who takes that seriously and his effort paying off. It doesn't hurt that he's super athletic. He's kind of like Luke Travers a little bit, and just he gets up so easily. Travers, I think he was even better at it. He's a little bit longer, a little taller. But just in the way he does it, you just kind of think, hey, he's catching alley-oops all the time. And it's like, yeah, it's just something he does, but you don't realize, you know, he's not 7'2" out there. He's the way he gets up and his athletic ability is really fun to watch.
Yeah, and you sort of mentioned, you know, he's a team player. He's really unselfish. I think something that brought a big smile to my face was not only Rob Lowe's thunderous dunk over in New Zealand, but Jack's reaction to that dunk. He's just so up and about for everything that's happening with his teammates. Like he just wants his team to succeed. He wants to see his teammates do well. And, you know, when he sees their carpool buddies, they ride into work together, into the office together to most days. And, you know, to see Rob get that dunk and the first person there is Jack jumping up and down, smiling, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So we're talking about Rob. So
he's cooking.
Yeah. And he's at career levels right now.
Career high in points.
It's cool to see.
In his last 6, it's like 19 a game, shooting like over 50% from 3. It's awesome to see.
The team is enjoying it too. I mean, you can tell how much the team loves it. We talked about that before. We talked about that last season. It's the reason he's back. Just a regular guy out there hooping it up. You know, like I was at Southland dropping my daughter off before the game. We go in early. It was like, I don't know, 9 a.m. She was going for work, and I see Rob walking in front of the car with his wife and kid in a stroller, just strolling along. He says hi and come over to the car and said hi. It's just, you know, at Southland in the morning, game day, doesn't matter. He's just living his life. So that and his dunk. Okay, we talked about it. I don't know if there's much more to say, but you're right. The reaction of Whitey.
Even Rob's reaction, like, yeah. Rob was skipping down the court. He was up and about.
He was. He did give a little skip. Maybe a rush of blood when he caught it, and he's like, "This, I can get this." And he threw it down hard. And my favorite part was the reactions of the players and how happy everyone was for him. And that was a fun game to watch, the way they were playing.
Yeah, it was a lot of just team basketball, like big long outlet passes, just finding people running, working for each other. My favorite play of that game was, I think KB contests a 3, which is then an air ball. It gets rebounded. Delhi gets the ball, finds KB on a full court outlet pass.
Yeah.
Who then immediately takes one dribble, shovels it off to Tanner, who's also run the floor, and then hits a 3.
Yeah.
That's just guys working hard for each other.
Yeah.
That was just an awesome sort of display.
One-handed full court bounce or pass off the bounce from Delhi on that. Yeah. Joe Burrow is a huge Delhi fan. Did you know that?
We've already talked about that. Yeah, we have talked about that.
The listeners probably know that too, since I've already said it about 6 times. Okay. All right. We got to go. We're getting into more of the fun stuff after this. Right now, a quick word from our sponsor, Chemist Warehouse.
Score yourself a great deal at Chemist Warehouse. Find huge savings on all your favorite brands across vitamins, sports nutrition, fragrances, hair care, plus heaps more. Shop in-store, online, or click and collect at chemistwarehouse.com.au.
And we're back from the break. Okay, we got another pair of games this weekend, Benny Hop. First up, we got the Hawks, who are the top of the table or the ladder, whichever you prefer.
Well, we're on top, they're second.
We're on top, they're second. That's what I meant. I'm trying to read these notes and look at you and look professional, so I'm trying my best.
Man,
okay, top of the table clash, top of the ladder clash.
Yes.
Whichever one you prefer.
Okay.
What can we expect?
I mean, probably just an intense game. You know, I think we're 2 teams that pride ourselves on, winning and competing out there for a championship. Obviously, a pretty intense game over in Illawarra earlier in the season that we got them on, which was exciting to see. And then they're going to be coming in looking to get that win back. And if they hand us another loss, then they could potentially be looking at jumping us on the ladder. So yeah, I think it's going to be a huge game coming in.
Well, the best part about this for us is it's after a loss. If
we do bounce back after losses,
we don't lose after losses. If every game we played was after a loss, we'd be undefeated this year.
That is correct. It's something like we haven't lost back-to-back regular season games since December 2022.
Yeah.
I want to say. So it's been a long time.
So we don't want to lose, but we always bounce back. So
I think that's a great thing that Dino and the coaches do is it's just accountability. There's teams, we touched on some of the young guys and how they were able to stay ready and perform, but also the vets on this team are just, after something goes wrong, they know what needs to be done. I know that coming into video this week, they're going to be looking at, the things that we didn't do well in the Brisbane game and how we let them, get in a rhythm and get open shots. And I know Dino's not going to be having any of that come the Illawarra game. And, I think we're going to come in really prepared and hopefully put together a really strong performance and get back on track.
Yeah, it's not crisis management after one loss. Everybody stays professional, but also you're held accountable, I think, to what you've done in the game that maybe you can get better at. Film can be a lonely place sometimes after a loss. And the other part of that is, as a coach, it's hard to call players out. You got to do it the right way. But it gets hard to call players out in that setting when, it's easier just to let some things go and move on. But I think, I'm sure they do a great job of, no matter who you are, you're held accountable to the standards of the team, even if it's a little hard to watch sometimes via the film. The other part is hard is going into film if you've had a bad game or after a loss. Your part's coming up like this. I screwed up on here. Like, I do not want to watch this. But you got to sit there and you got to take it. And seeing it on film is confronting sometimes, but it makes you a better player. It's kind of like re-listening to these podcasts. I think we do a great job. We finish. And if you don't listen to it and see where you can get better, we're not going to improve.
Well, is that like you, where you just like, here comes the clip where I don't box out Hakeem Warrior?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you had a bad game and especially effort stuff or the rules that you've gone through going into the game, they're coming and you just there's nowhere to hide, which is the good part. But then, like I've had coaches where, like I said, they don't want to do that, and that's where, your standards start to go right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even looking at the Illawarra game, across your career, you were, a really talented jump shooter, still a very talented jump shooter.
Absolutely, yes.
And, worked a lot out of the pick and pop. We touched on Rob before and Jack, but sort of on Rob, he's found a lot of success in obviously setting good screens, popping out and knocking down threes, but he's also got the size to get inside and carve out space and then finish around the hoop. How dangerous is that as, you made a lot of your money picking and popping and getting in the mid-range or getting out to three? How dangerous is it to have someone like Rob? And then to juxtapose that, you have someone like Marcus who comes in who's just the exact opposite, where, you have to always be aware of him on the roll or on the backside because a lob can just go up and he's throwing it down. Yeah, I mean, you want your pick and pop guys because it spreads the court so much more, gives you more options, especially if you've got a point guard who's really good in the ball screen, and it gives you more options other than just a pick and roll every time. But then to be able to bring a guy like Marcus to where they're not doing the same thing, and you've got to switch up what you're trying to do, and it's tough on the defense because you've got to think of your rules, like how are we guarding this? This guy, on the fly, this guy, he's rolling, they're going to throw a lob, or then the next time down, you may be guarding Rob, and you've done the same thing you would have done against Marcus, and that's when he's open for the pick and pop. We're going back to JCA after that. We got Phoenix coming in. Phoenix home game as well. It's a Phoenix home game. Yes. So we're both going to the same spot. We always play our home games. Yep. Except this time, it's a Phoenix home game. No setup for you balls. No setup. That's good. I'll be watching this one on TV and enjoying it.
We've won 18 of the past 26. It is a rivalry.
It is a rivalry.
It's a genuine rivalry. The two teams don't like each other. The two offices. I wouldn't say we don't like each other, but there's healthy competition between the offices.
A healthy disrespect.
Yeah.
No, a healthy amount of respect.
And we want real rivalries. There are real rivalries in the NBL, and that makes it fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel like every rivalry is like that. You know, you want to be competitive.
Yeah, this is like an older brother, younger brother rivalry. Would you
could say that.
They'd be the younger brother. They did beat us last time, though.
They did.
They got us last time in their first win. Mm-hmm. They had the advantage. Some people wouldn't say it's advantage, but they had the advantage of playing their first game after letting a coach go, which is weirdly sometimes an easier game to play.
It always gives you a bit of a boost.
Yeah. What are we thinking? I've said that before. Every time I throw to you, I'm saying, "What are you thinking?" But let's look inside that head again once more
really
time.
After my thoughts this episode, I think this is just revenge for all last season where I just put you under the pump constantly.
Well, it's much easier to get the questions asked to you than trying to ask them.
I mean, like you said, it's a rivalry game. I feel like there are fake rivalries in sport, or people can sort of pump them up,
or one-sided too.
Yeah. But we, especially coming off a throwdown loss, you know, our guys will be up and about for this. Our guys are always up and about, but you know, you always want to win these games. You always want to, you know, keep the momentum going and keep control of a rivalry. I think it's the same when we play the Kings, you know, that Melbourne-Sydney rivalry is always there.
Yeah.
And wanting to get one up. You never want to give one up for them. And, you know, Phoenix have been playing really good basketball. They're also, I think they've climbed into the top 6 now. You know, they're trying to do whatever they can to make a finals push after, you know, being on the outs the past few years, and last year having a really difficult season and having a difficult start to this season. But, you know, they've been playing some, good basketball, but hopefully we can come in, shut them down, and you know, put together a good performance. Yeah,
we'd hope for the winnable game, but like you said, they're playing well. They're a tough team, and it's getting closer to Christmas, so that could be a factor. Who's going to fight off that feeling of I wish I was home, maybe, or around family? Even dangerously close to Christmas, we've got our 23rd
big game.
Open air game.
Open air.
The open air game is absolutely an event.
Would you say it's the best open air game in the NBL?
The number one and the only? Is it the only? Or is there
it's not
other
the only,
teams?
but it's. I would say it's the original.
The original.
The original, the best.
It is
the most exciting.
Very cool to be a part of.
Oh yeah.
That's one I definitely try and watch as much of the game as I can. Take it all in. Do we have fireworks? Are fireworks back this year? Do we know?
TBC, but it's looking likely that the fireworks are back.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a spectacle. It's against the...
Have you ever played in one?
I never played in one. Commentated 2 of them. I commentated 3 games. 2 of them were open air. Well, they only brought me in for the big ones.
I always like it how in the press conference after an open air game, there's always the obligatory question that's just like,
the wind.
What was it like playing under the stars? So I'll ask you, what was it like commentating under the stars?
Commentating under the stars. I was so focused. Like the players, you kind of forget after a little bit.
What was your prep like as a commentator? We've never really discussed that.
Same as for the podcast. No, I did want to do it, and I thought, okay, if I ever get the chance to commentate, because this is after your retirement, you're kind of lost a little bit, not knowing what you're going to do. Tommy Greer he got me in. He's like, "You want to try and commentate?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And I was like, I told myself, okay, if I ever do it, I'm not going to be just down the middle. I'm going to be like, I'm going to get on there and just be like, people are going to love me or hate me, but I don't want them to just, not know I was there. Yeah. Well, you get on and it's like, geez, there's no prep whatsoever. So I'd never done anything like it before. And they just sit you down there in a suit and you got the headphones on. And I don't know. I never heard much feedback on anything. I think I was like right down the line. It was like I was there, but no one really noticed me. I definitely wasn't controversial.
Well, but this guy's also not playing well.
I definitely was not controversial. Maybe next, if I get a chance to do it again, I mean, watch out. The things I'm going to say are just...
Well, maybe you just use the NBL 1 as your practice.
I have done some NBL 1.
And just get really controversial.
Yeah.
But the open air game, it's always a very exciting game. It's
against the Jack Jumpers. We haven't talked about that. It's the Bass Strait Battle.
The Bass Strait Battle?
Version 2.0, the second one of the Bass Strait Battle, right? the new rivalry we've invented this year, correct?
Well, it's one of those things. I think even since the Jackies came in, I think there has sort of an organic rivalry.
Yeah, well, they're close. We would be their closest team.
Yes.
It's over the Bass Strait. That's why they call it the Bass Strait Battle.
Is it?
Yeah, it's body of water in between the two of us, and it's sponsored.
It is sponsored
by
Marinus Link.
Marinus Link. Because I did the poster, not to brag, but I did the game day poster, so look out for that one.
Yeah, poster's not out yet, but it is looking cool.
Yeah, if you're at the game.
You did the member appreciation game poster
I did,
as well.
yeah,
That looks very
for
cool.
the last game too. Yeah, so.
But yeah, they're playing some good basketball at the moment. They're sort of hitting their stride after a difficult start to the year. Sean McDonald back. He's a great young player.
Yeah, he's made him a lot better.
Yeah, and then Will Magnay playing good basketball. Milton Doyle looks like he's sort of finding form, and he's a dangerous guy.
Now this is the Jack Jumpers we're talking about rivalries.
Yeah,
it's probably going to get a little bit physical. Like these two teams don't like each other. Like we don't like the Phoenix, but especially after last year, we really don't like the Jack Jumpers.
Yeah, and I mean they're always physical games. They're always intense games. We played them 4 times this year. Same with the Phoenix. We're 1-1 so far. Same as we are with the Phoenix. Both these teams are going to be hoping to get that second win and know that we've got the one up going into whenever we play our last game. And like I said, that they're in good form. Hopefully, we're coming into that game with a heap of momentum. I think there's less than 500 tickets left to that game already. So if you're listening to this and you haven't got a ticket to the open air game, get a ticket to the open air game, because if you haven't been before, it's an absolute spectacle. Like, it's amazing. It's great. It's so different. Like, I think a lot of people might think of, is it like tennis? You play tennis in the open air, or is it like the footy or the soccer or going to the rugby? But it's completely different because, you got all the lights and sounds of a basketball game, and then
don't forget to look up.
Yeah,
look up and
it's crazy. And then, fireworks to add on top of that. It's an amazing experience, and it's probably going to be a pretty intense game as well. So I think every game, people, our guys just want to come in and get a dub, but there are a few games where that is sort of heightened to another level. And I think, the Phoenix game, the Jackies game, and I think the Hawks game, the Hawks were pretty vocal about their displeasure.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Getting a dub over them.
Yeah, that's true.
On the road.
Benny Hop, I think that brings us to the end of our retro.
Yeah, we're just coming off Heritage Round.
Well, that, and also throwback to last year when it was just me and you.
This is it's a heritage episode.
Yeah, it's a heritage episode. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And
I just hope Brad doesn't feel left out.
You've done a few of these without me, and you never said, I hope you don't feel left out. I mean, even though I did.
Yeah, I know you always did. Yeah. So I didn't have to wonder.
So he'll be all right. I'm sure he's going to listen and have notes for us.
But the thing I do need to ask you, you always talk about music, CD talk. We're at the end of the year. I know you don't have Spotify.
Big pun. That was my first CD.
Yeah, we know. I know you don't have Spotify.
I do have Spotify.
Okay, but
the whole family listens to it.
The whole family, so it's a bit skewed.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through what would probably be the top couple of artists or albums you listened to this year? Because that's what people want to know, especially on an episode with no Fast Five.
Yeah, you're right. We need something light to finish it out.
What was your most listened to album this year?
Well, thanks for asking, Benjamin. Now, the total album, probably The Story So Far. I know we're both Story So Far fans.
Bit of pop punk.
Saw him, pop punk, a little more punk than pop.
Yeah.
I saw him at the Good Things Festival, which just happened here years ago. Never heard of him, and I thought these guys are pretty cool. And they just came out with an album this year. I love it. Got the record, and I don't have the CD, just the record. But probably them. And then other than that, it would be I have a running playlist. So whatever's on that, I do need to switch that up. It's been years of the same songs over and over and over. But other than that, what I listen to doesn't come through because we share it. So Spotify Rap needs to they find a way to this is what Dad listens to. This is what Mom listens to.
Is there a song that comes on, when it comes on the running playlist, you're like, the pace is going up here?
Yeah, Biggie's "Give Me the Loot." You know that song?
I think so.
It's him I mean, I don't advocate the stuff he's talking about in there, as with most rap, or the rap that from the '90s from my childhood. But it's him, and he's also doing the voice of his girlfriend, and talking about robbing people.
Oh, okay.
It's purely fictional, but it's a great one.
So.
You throw that one on for a good pump up and maybe a laugh.
Very nice.
Thanks to Chemist Warehouse. Shout out to Chemist Warehouse supporting the podcast, and also special shout out to the people. Like every game, I get some people telling me they listen to the podcast. It is really cool to hear. Like the support is important to me and doesn't go unnoticed. What about you, Benny?
Oh yeah, I mean, shout out to everyone that listens.
Thoughts?
No, shout out to everyone that listens. Obviously, we love putting it together. We love. I've taken a step back and just doing sort of the producing role, but it's always fun, having you and Brad and whatever guest we've got in tell stories and talk about the game. And it's really awesome to, see something that we're producing and people really enjoying it, listening in, tell your friends, tell your family, get everyone listening in. We need to keep those big Chemist Warehouse dollars paying the bills. But no, it's always awesome being a part of it. This is probably our last episode for a little bit because the office closes after the open air game as the tennis takes over and we go on the road trip. So, yeah, it's probably our last episode until probably towards the end of Jan.
Yeah, I'll be doing camps and stuff too, so I may not be on the next one anyway.
But yeah, if you got kids who love basketball, get them in with Adam Ballinger. He's running camps.
Oh yeah, that's right. Our camps, yeah, they are filling up. But that's another thing we could promote. Yeah, our school holiday camps. They are the ones that I run. If you got kids out there that enjoy basketball, maybe they don't play on any teams, they just want to play, bring their friends and have a full day of basketball, meet the players, and few giveaways and things like that. Bring them along.
You can usually see someone hit a half court shot.
Yeah, we got half court shots every now and then. We got dunk contests.
If you
golden child.
If you come to a camp and you ask Adam Ballinger to dunk, he'll dunk it for you.
No, I don't dunk on demand.
Yes,
I don't. I'm 45 years old. I don't dunk on demand. But don't tell kids. Ask me that. I get asked to dunk every day. Every time I go to school, dunk it. It's actually pretty rude. But no, I do not dunk on demand. That's my response.
Well, thank you for having me, Balls. It's nice to.
Thanks for coming in.
It's nice to, I can take a step away from the hosting duties, but then it's also, put me under the pump with some of these questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's my first job hosting, which is good practice for our spin-off podcast we're thinking about later. Stay tuned. I'm trying to get Ben to commit.
I don't think we are thinking about a spin-off podcast.
We got all the gear right here.
Unless Chemist Warehouse sponsors it as well, I'm not doing it.
Okay, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Extra Pass presented by Chemist Warehouse.
Thanks, Balls.
No problem.